Hello, everyone. Welcome to my podcast with me and my crew, the Youth Ambassadors Program. And today we're representing PCHR. I'm here with my colleagues.
Mimi?
Angeline.
And today we're going to be inviting our guest, Miss Pamela, to talk to us about job discrimination. Please tune in. Her name is Pamela Guatney. She is the PCHR Deputy Director and a lawyer. Miss Pamela?
Hello. As you said, I am Pamela Gwaltney. I'm the Deputy Director of Compliance at the Philadelphia Commission on Human Relations. I'm attorney by trade.
Okay.
Previously, I worked for the State Human Relations Commission, and before that, I was a public defender. I represented juveniles and adults in criminal court here in the city of Philadelphia.
Okay, well, that's that's astonishing. Like, that's a lot. I ain't gonna lie. Like, you're very successful. I want to give some credit to my colleagues here. We have,
Mimi, nice to meet you.
I'm Angeline.
and today we're going to be asking Miss Pamela some questions on discrimination. So, Miss Pamela, what are some encounters of discrimination you faced and where?
So, my first memory of being discriminated against was actually at the age of 6. I'd gone to a sleepover in New Jersey. I lived here in Philadelphia. I was born in Philadelphia. And at 6, I went to a sleepover at a friend's in Riverton, New Jersey. They were my next door neighbors. It was a white family, and they moved to New Jersey. And the morning after, prior to breakfast, we were riding bikes in downtown Riverton, and two boys saw us all together, and me being the only black child there, they called me a nigger, and they
Oh, wow.
chased us all back to the house.
Like, literally
So
chased?
yes, they literally chased us back to the house.
Wow.
So we were on bikes and running, and I was the only black child there. And this was the 60s, so it was about 1966. And it was the first time, I mean, I knew I was black, but it was the first time it was really pointed out to me in that way, in a negative and derogatory way.
That is very crazy to hear.
Yeah.
1960s.
1960s, yeah.
Wow. That was racism still like very like prominent back then in that era?
It was, yeah. The Civil Rights Act was signed in 1964. Martin Luther King was assassinated in 1968, I believe, and
Yeah.
John F. Kennedy was assassinated, I think, in 1960. So there was a lot going on in the 60s in terms of race riots and an effort to maintain treatment, equal treatment. I feel discrimination happens because there's a lack of understanding among people, a lack of respect
Understanding.
among people. I think people don't understand that we are all very much alike. We're more alike than we are different. And I think that lack of understanding, which we can refer to as ignorance, leads to fear of the unknown, fear of the other. And unfortunately, it plays itself out in acts of discrimination.
Okay. And Angeline, do you have any questions for Miss Pamela?
I also have a question. What do you think that the media can do to help with people that goes through job discrimination?
I think the media can be more objective in terms of how they cover stories. I think they can be more equal and equitable in how they cover stories with regard to discrimination. Unfortunately, we're in a climate where the the fact of discrimination is being denied. And so I think the media can play a very important role in, erasing discrimination.
Oh, well, you see there, those was some good pointers, some good questions we asked to Miss Pamela. And I actually have another question I want to ask you, Miss Pamela. And I wanted to know about how do you feel when it comes down to discrimination and the unemployment section? I mean, not unemployment, the employment section And especially like what comes down to characteristics, especially like black people, like our hair, you know what I'm saying, our hairstyles. A lot of people would say that we, you know what I'm saying, since our hair is like unkept, since we got afros, braids, locks, it's very like, oh, it's not groomed because it's not low, or it's not maintained because it's all out, or it's all over the place, but our hair grows up. You know what I'm saying? Our hair is what it is, and it's a form of us. How do you feel about like discrimination when it comes down to that in the employment section?
Well, first of all, I'd say that the issue with regard to black hair, hair discrimination, has been around as long as we have been a people. Our natural hair in our natural state, despised, looked upon unfavorably.
Unfavorably?
And there are efforts, recent efforts, to address discrimination in the workplace. There's been a national effort for the past probably 7 to 10 years to introduce Crown legislation, which is basically legislation that protects individuals based on their hair type.
Okay, that's good.
And in Philadelphia in 2020, I was pleased to be able to give testimony on behalf of then Councilperson Sherelle Parker, who is now our mayor, who introduced legislation to reinforce that discriminating against individuals based upon the texture of their hair or their hairstyles is actually racial discrimination. And the Fair Practices Ordinance is the ordinance that the Philadelphia Commission on Human Relations enforces, and it is our city's civil rights law. And so in 2020, it was reiterated, I guess reaffirmed and reinforced that discrimination against individuals based on their hairstyles is tantamount to or equals racial discrimination. There is not yet a federal Crown law, but it has been introduced, and it was introduced in 2025, so it has to be passed by the House and the Senate
This year?
before it becomes a law. Yes.
Okay.
And the state has also introduced a law to amend the state law, the Pennsylvania Human Relations Act, to include protections based on hairstyle. But that has not been done as of yet. But proud to say that here in Philadelphia, we do have specific protections for individuals based on hairstyle.
That's perfect. That's perfect. As you hear from Ms. Pamela, as she just informed us, you know what I'm saying, that law, that bill, it's going to be passed soon. It's 2025.
We hope so.
Since you do work with some cases of discrimination, what do you feel like is the most classes that deal with discrimination?
So the Fair Practices Ordinance protects about 19 plus classes of individuals from discrimination. I would say that race remains at the forefront of people being discriminated against, but then also, national origin, nationality, religion, gender identity, sexual orientation, and also people discriminated against based on their ability, whether or not they have a disability in the workplace.
Okay. And why do you feel like that happens? And kind of to add to that, do you feel like discrimination is, I'm not going to say better, but a little more things that are a little more open and allowed now or more back then?
I would say that since the passage of the Civil Rights Act in 1964, we've come a long way. But unfortunately, under the present administration, with civil rights being stripped away, with individuals throwing around, DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, as if it means something negative, as if it means that someone is unqualified, things are moving backwards. And so I think the onus is on young people to get out there and do the work to make individuals know of their rights. I think that there's a lack of understanding about each other, and when there's a lack of understanding, there's fear, and I think that's really at the base of what discrimination is about.
Okay.
All right. Angeline, do you have a question for Ms. Pamela?
How do you feel about the discrimination going on against women in the work field?
I think, unfortunately, women have always experienced difficulties in the workplace. Traditionally, the woman's role was in the house to take care of their children. And I think that women have overcome over the past, 75 years, have overcome great obstacles to be able to work in the workplace.
Mm.
But I think that women continue to have challenges because we bear children.
Mm-hmm.
We've got to leave work for a period of time to take care of those children, to be home. Oftentimes, we are looked over for promotions if we have children.
Yeah.
Many times a woman is running the home and has to be concerned about, paying for education, for childcare,
Mm-hmm.
for groceries, for rent. And so to me, those are the things that should be factored into what is an equitable wage for women. So while things have gotten better, there is still a very long way to go. A woman has to work to March of any given year to make what a man has made in a previous year. And as I had
Wow.
shared when I was speaking with you earlier, women earn about 84 cents to a man's dollar, and that's
Wow.
problematic.
Right.
And I think that it won't get better until the ideals about women
Mm-hmm.
in society improve and the
As it
important
should.
role that we play
As it should.
improves.
Do you believe that there can be a change in the pay for a woman going on into the future?
I do believe that there can be a change and things can get better. But I want to quote Women's Way, which is a very strong women's organization here in Philadelphia. And a quote that I heard from them is that, gender inequities are deeply rooted in longstanding systems of white supremacy and capitalism. And they're so central to wealth disparity that they're often invisible. And efforts to improve the lives of women, girls, and gender oppressed people only go as far as they are informed by the understanding of systemic, inequities here in America and across
Wow.
the world.
Right.
Well, everyone, there we go. Me, Angeline, Mimi, and Miss Pamela, we're all part of the PCHR program. That's what we represent. And me, Mimi, and Angeline are the Youth Ambassadors program. Here speaking with Miss Pamela as we such this did. And I just want to thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for coming on our podcast, actually,
Right.
and speaking to us and
Thank you.
informing us on
Thank you.
all these topics and giving us all this great information about discrimination and different types of discrimination that I wasn't even informed of on my own. I've been on this planet for 18 years and I did not know half of the stuff you just told me today. So I just wanted to thank you, Miss Pamela, and thank everyone for watching.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Angeline, and I'm here with the YCS group. This is
Mimi.
Jayla. And I know last time we discussed it, discrimination. What did y'all learn from the discrimination and what stood out to y'all?
Me personally, I think what stood out was when we was talking about the hair discrimination, and I do like that they have enforced or starting to enforce a law that you can't discriminate against hair.
Yeah, same. It was also about like the roles people play and to stop discrimination. Their jobs. Like do they enjoy it? I'm saying how is it, stuff like that. We got to see the inside of it. So yeah.
Men. Men get treated better than women due to the fact that they are men with jobs that is more hardworking than women. And they can get paid more than women also. So I think that stood out for me.
one thing that also stood out to me. I would like to piggyback what you said off men. Statistics, facts show that women that works in the same field as men, men still get paid better.
Though one thing I wanted to say before we fully close out is I want to say I appreciate all my fellow colleagues for being a part of this podcast and helping out. I'm thankful for Jayla, Edward, Angie, the Philip, Cam, everybody, because without them, we wouldn't be able to do this. I learned how to deal with conflict better, deal with my emotions a little bit. I learned we met some cool people, stuff like that. So I just want to say thank you for all that, and I'm gonna pass it to them.
Yeah, I agree with everything she said. Thank everybody for listening to our podcast, listening to our people we talked to, especially Pamela, where I was leading. You know what I'm saying? Thank you to my colleagues as well, Jayla, Mimi, and Angeline. Um, and to Philly Camp for definitely supporting us in our, you know what I'm saying, supporting us in our journey. You know what I'm saying, to become good people of the YCS program who can handle conflict in many situations of discrimination, and we can go ahead and give that information out.
Right.
Yes, I agree.
I also thought this was an amazing opportunity.
Oh.
I also thought this was an amazing opportunity that I have been, given to. This is a really nice experience. I really liked this. I love everything about this.
I gained friendship and connection, and I agree. I also gained knowledge.
Right,
Yes.
right,
Thank
right.
you everyone for listening. And
Thank you everyone for watching our podcast. Bye bye.